Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I'm John. I'm your host. It's fucking hot outside. I hope you're doing well. Well, today's topic is about prepping. It is about the importance of the stuff. The stuff we have, preps. The subject came to me, the idea of withdrawals, and how important it is to have the food and the water, right? But there's going to be more than that to it. There's going to be absolute withdrawals from everything when we have a shutdown, a slowdown. I was watching a Western. It was Once Upon a Time in the West. I was watching it with my kids, and I thought, what do these people do? What do they do with their downtime? Right? When they're done toiling in the sun all day, what do they do? What do they think about? How do they do it? Right? And I was just looking at that from an entertainment perspective. Today we are entertained. You want to do something, you watch a movie, you play with the internet. I guess you could read a book, but when there's no electricity, what do you think the average person's going to do? Now, again, as a prepper, we can prepare for ourselves, but it's worrying about those people out there. The psychological impact of shit hitting the fan is it's not going to be one-dimensional. It's going to be multifaceted, multidimensional. So if we just talk about just entertainment, things that people do to occupy their time, right? We are the bread and circus of the modern world. And without that, people start losing their minds. Think about how aggravated people get. They get aggravated, pissed off. What are you going to do? I'm going to go to the bar and have a drink. Right? So they go and they get their entertainment. When shit hits the fan, that's not going to be available. So we have to ask ourselves, what is the mental condition going to be of other people? Are they going to be more or less aggravated? I think they're going to be more aggravated for a lot of reasons, entertainment being one of them. But if people are more aggravated, they're going to be more prone to fight, they're going to be more aggressive, they're going to be less agreeable. So that is just entertainment. What do you do with your time, right? So people are going to be left to think in their heads. Think. In my opinion, that's going to be completely foreign to them. I don't think people, for the most part, understand what it means to just sit there and quietly think in their head. I do it quite a bit. But I can feel a lot of times this surge within me to just run. I need information, right? We're information junkies now. Perhaps that's my entertainment. We're going to want the news. In fact, that's why periodicals, newspapers, letters, the postman, things like that used to matter 100 years ago in culture, because people didn't have television, they didn't have internet, that's for sure. They didn't even have radio. They had to wait for news to come from somewhere else, from someone else. So people are going to be attracted to each other for news. But there's going to be other problems. This issue with addiction and withdrawal. We have technology. There's going to be addiction and withdrawal. And that's going to be a huge factor. People who have radios, preppers who have radios, preppers who have two-way ham radios, whether it's world band, ham radio, whatever you've got, if you're able to get information when shit hits the fan, when everything else is out, it's going to be a valuable commodity for yourself, and it might help you in your group if you live in a population dense area, right? It makes you more valuable to others. And I don't think that can be underestimated. There's going to be a lot of tensions as it is. And this has to do whether, in my opinion, whether it's a regional shit hits the fan or all the way up to a lights out. Right? If you're in a region, an area where, say, the grid is down for a week, people don't know anything. They're going to be starving for information. So you, with your solar power or wind power or whatever power you've got and your batteries and your radios, you're going to be immensely popular. Now, there's negatives to that, but there's a lot of positives. So I think that we as preppers need to think about that. People out there, all around us, they are entertainment and information junkies. And by junkies, let's just think of them in terms of a drug addict. Right? They get their endorphin release. They get their mental fix from information and entertainment. And you're going to be a source of that. A potential source of that. And you can choose to reveal it or not. So you have to decide for you whether it's a wise idea or not. In my opinion, for me, I want to be quiet. I don't want to be a source of information for others because that's going to attract attention. And then other questions get asked, like, what do you do for food? What do you do for protection? What do we do next? Right? Are you the leader? Are you the enemy? A lot of negatives that come with it that I don't want to deal with, but maybe for someone else, it may be a way for them to make themselves useful. Say someone out there has a radio and a way to keep it powered. You're going to be valuable to a group or a community that doesn't have access to that. And so you become valuable. Right now you're bartering yourself. You're trading yourself and what you have. And when shit hits the fan, there's going to be a lot of people in that position where they can help others. You know, it's going to be a crazy world. But the psychology of it, information is going to be important. But when we look at withdrawals, what else are we looking at and talking? Right? I'm drinking a beer right now, having a nice cold Dos Equis. There's a lot of things that people like and they rely and count on. And I say we need to prep, just prep a lot. I don't know how you would prep for beer. I guess you would you have 100 cases of beer, and every time you drink a case, you go buy another one and rotate your stock. Hope it doesn't, hope it keeps as well as you need it to. Keep it in a cool, dark place. But people are they're going to miss those things that are most important to them. Because a lot of people, a big percentage, have addictive personalities. One of the recommendations I have for children is to keep in your preps a significant amount of candy. Tootsie Rolls, simple candy. For the purpose of reminding them and helping them feel good, right? Helping them relax, right? They'll get their dopamine release the same way someone like me would get it from information. Those kids would get it from the candy. It would remind them of better times. I've talked about coffee as well and tea, right? But when we talk about addiction and when we talk about people having withdrawal issues, you know, how hard is it going to hit them? For how long is it going to hit them when they start having withdrawals? And I'm not talking about drugs, and not even necessarily about alcohol. When I went to boot camp, there was no tobacco, no cigarettes, no chewing tobacco, none at all. And, you know, I couldn't tell you whether those other guys had problems with it, because they didn't ever say a fucking word, because you weren't allowed to say a fucking word. But, so I know people can just quit cold turkey. I know people that have quit smoking cigarettes after 50 years, quit cold turkey, just no problem. Other people, they become an absolute wreck. If you've got people like that in your group, people who smoke cigarettes, they're alcoholics, right? They have a dependency. They're going to go through withdrawals. You should be prepared for that, even for yourself. And let's just stick with alcohol and tobacco. You're going to go through withdrawals. Other people are going to have problems with other drugs and that they use recreationally, whether it's marijuana or Vicodin or Norcos or whatever other prescription drugs they've got, or even illicit drugs. You know, we don't know who they are because most people keep it hidden. Like, they don't advertise, I'm a giant alcoholic, or, you know, I take prescription painkillers. But they're going to go through literal withdrawals. When shit hits the fan, you've got to not only accept and understand that there's those withdrawals, but we've got to understand that you're going to combine that with the rest of the shit. So it's kind of like adding gasoline to a fire, or adding extra nitroglycerin to your dynamite. It's going to make a bigger problem. So people that, and this probably goes for everybody, everyone's going to be uptight. Everyone's going to be tense. Everyone's going to be scared. And then you add to that where they're not getting those little things that normally help them get over the top. That cup of coffee in the morning, that drink in the evening, right? A cigarette every couple of hours. At some point, they're not going to get that. Those will be commodities that are going to be traded and bartered. But if you look at the people that need that, you know, it's going to go away. And they're going to become extremely aggravated. So, like I said, there's some people it's not going to be a problem. But can you count on it? Or do you have to look and count on things being as bad as they possibly could be? For me, that's where I'm going to be at. I'm going to hope for the best, right? But I'm going to plan for the worst. I'm going to keep alcohol. I'm going to keep tobacco. I'm going to keep coffee. I'm going to keep candy. All of those things, which are little things that matter. But people are going to have very basic withdrawals. Let's start with one of the most simple, water. People can go 2-3 days without water. You can have serious water withdrawals. Dehydration. Right? The most fundamental, right, of necessities that the body can't live without. People become aggravated, erratic. They won't function well. That's a serious withdrawal, and we need to think about that. That's why, you know, water is the second prep I talk about. But people are going to be aggravated, erratic. They're going to be tired. They're going to be dizzy. All of these things from dehydration. And dehydration can occur not only from not having water, but from having water that is polluted or contaminated. Right? People will get dysentery. It's going to be, as far as I'm concerned, when shit hits the fan. If it's a bad one, people are going to get dysentery from drinking polluted, contaminated water. That's going to make them vomit. It's going to dehydrate them really quickly. More so than if they were just walking or existing without having a source of fresh water. Dehydration through dysentery is massive. It's huge. You know, it's bad enough that that person, whoever they are, or whoever they are, you know, meaning many of them, it's going to make them angry. It's going to make them desperate, just like anyone else who is going through withdrawals. And food is another one. I learned a lesson back when I was a kid about two guys that wanted to go on a long-distance bicycle trip. And they got all of their preps ready. And they had granola bars and health food, and they filled their backpacks, and they started out on this trip. After a couple of days, they couldn't function. They couldn't figure out why. Well, their body was conditioned with junk food. So they went to the nearest fast food restaurant they could pedal their asses off to and sat down and had a meal that their body was used to having, right? That it was used to performing. Their mental satisfaction from the meal was satisfying. I mean, who can really be satisfied with granola bars? Unless, I guess, that's your diet and that's all you eat. But to switch from one to the other, they were having massive withdrawals on a physiological level as well as a psychological level. When shit hits the fan, it's just not going to be pretty. But this topic or subject of withdrawals is critical because it affects the body and it affects the mind, and it's going to affect everybody. Even preppers are going to have issues. Right? We can train for it, we can practice for it, we can prepare ourselves mentally, but understanding that we're not immune to it gives another advantage. It's kind of the denial issue, right? Are you going to deny that you're having problems, or are you going to accept it, talk to others, do what you can to get help to satisfy it? One of the best ways to deal with it, I think, is to turn off your electricity, right? Turn off your water, deny yourself food, and just figure out what is the first thing your body's going to do that freaks you out. Well, this is a really hard one. I did this when I went over to Mount Shasta and spent some time up on Mount Shasta, just figuring out the physical issues, as well as what do I do with my brain, right? I'm up here on the top of a mountain, nothing to think about except the thoughts that I have. It was an interesting trip, and I learned quite a bit about what my body needs, what my mind needs, right? What is it going to ask for? Interestingly, it didn't ask for some things. Other things did bother me. Those are all very personal, and they're personal to you as well. So it's a good exercise to go through. But it's one of the reasons I talk about having meat in your preps. Canned meat, not just tuna fish, but try and get beef, chicken, pork. If they're part of your regular diet, try and get that into your preps. The reason is both physiological and psychological. Your body's used to operating on the diet you have now, and there's a mental satisfaction level that you get. It's just something, as soon as you get it, you can relax. That part of your mind relaxes and lets go. Right? And that has to do, literally, it's a withdrawal type symptom. It's a psychological symptom that happens when you're deprived of those things that you like. And it can be many things. Interaction with other humans. Too much interaction with other humans. It could be cigarettes. It could be chocolate. It can be coffee, alcohol, tobacco products. It could be prescription drugs. It could be a combination of those things. It can be the meat, the diet that you have. And definitely water. Having water. All of these things, when you take them away, one or more of these items, you start running a deficit. So the best condition you can be in is to understand it and then be prepared for it with what you have in your larder. You just need to make sure it's there. Just the last 24 hours I've been thinking about this. As we go, individually, right, we're going to be in trouble. Shit hitting the fan won't be pretty at all. And it always really is the other people out there that are going to be the biggest threat to you. But if you understand your own limitations, you understand your own weaknesses, your own withdrawal symptoms, when you start thinking about other people, you'll understand them better as well. There's going to be a huge learning curve, in other words, that comes with shit hitting the fan. And it's best, I think, to be prepared for yourself and others. If you live in an area where people are already malnourished and hungry, they may do better than you if you are not malnourished and hungry. Right? If you require a healthy and rich diet and you decide to change, they might be in better condition than you. So practice preparing, thinking of it as training is going to be extremely beneficial. I just keep looking. I look at the heat. Right now it's an incredibly hot day. I'm in the shade finally. But the heat, extreme cold, all of these things cause us to need something. Environmental conditions remind us of things. What do I need? It's really hot. Well, I need to be cool. Wouldn't it be nice to have a cold beer? And then you go, well, fuck, it's shit. Shit is at the fan. There is no cold beer. There's no cold drinks. There's nothing cold. You get mad about it. You get, pissed. You wish for that to be satisfied. Your body and your mind is reminded that you don't have. When shit hits the fan, I think people are going to be reminded on many different levels of everything they don't have. So what is more important, do you think, for your security and safety? Worrying about the physical condition of others or worrying about the mental condition of others? And for yourself, what is more important? The physical condition for yourself or the mental condition? or do you see a tie between the two of them? For me, I can see them independently, and I can also see the connection, how one affects the other, right? Just even the most basic, fundamental human interaction gives people a feeling, a sensation of wellness, of good, right? If you've ever spent days in the desert or days at sea, right, and you're basically alone, when you see other people, even as an introvert, there's a feeling of satisfaction you get, right? A feeling of hope. The human mind is incredibly complex. When shit hits the fan, you're going to see people and you can't trust them. You're going to see people and wish for other times, and you're going to feel that. They're going to do the same with you, right? But then again, we're going to have all the negatives that go with it, right? You're going to have all the negatives. They're going to look at you and say, that guy looks healthy. How come he looks so healthy? What does he have? There's going to be people that don't have anything, and they're going to want to victimize others, right? So their psychology, how desperate are they? When people go into withdrawals, they're going to be incredibly desperate. You're going to want to talk to them. You're going to want news from them. But you're also going to be very fearful of them. What are they going to think of you? What do they want? What do they need? And do you have it? So can you expect them, right, to demand it or ask for it? Or try and hurt you to get it? This subject of withdrawals is going to be incredible. The reason I say it's going to be incredible is because Americans, especially, are spoiled. We are just absolutely spoiled now. When I was a kid, we used to go to baseball, 104, 105, 106 degrees as kids, and go play in the sun. I remember that. I remember the numbers. It was triple digits. I remember how hot it was. There's nothing you could do about it. There was no air conditioning back then. You wanted air conditioning, like on this truck here, right? You cracked the wing window and you blew hot air across yourself. That was air conditioning. Today, I keep hearing people go, man, it's never been this hot like this. I'm thinking, the fuck it hasn't. It's just now everyone's spoiled. They're soft. And so when they start getting uncomfortable, as in heat, they start complaining. They start becoming erratic. They're spoiled. They're soft. In my opinion, it's going to make shit hitting the fan even worse, because people are going to go through comfort withdrawals. And maybe comfort encompasses everything. People are comfortable in their head. They're comfortable with their stomach. They're comfortable environmentally. They're comfortable psychologically. All of their needs are being met right now. When shit hits the fan, only the most basic needs will be met. And because of that deficit of input, whether it's psychological or physical, people are going to lose their fucking minds. And you need to be ready. So think about this for yourself, and also think about it for everyone else that's out there. Do your best to get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Have a plan. Go to the preparedmind.club. And I can't say it enough. Understand the psychological impact when people go through withdrawals. Right? Hillary lost the election. Millions of snowflakes started crying because their satisfaction level and expectations went down. Can you imagine the dissatisfaction and fear that's going to happen when the lights go off? We just had an asshole today take a pickaxe to Donald Trump's star in Hollywood. Why? His dissatisfaction level. He's got a full stomach. He's got everything he needs, but that little piece was enough to make him flip. Understand that that's going to happen when shit hits the fan. You guys be cool. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and we'll discuss some more of these things that we need to be watching and thinking about. It's really starting to bug me what's going on out there. It's the little things. It's the little things. So, got to be ready, got to think about it. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. You guys be cool.